Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Before I begin my presentation today, firstly I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nura Augustama. I'm from class B and I'm majoring in English Education Department. And today I would like to present it about my proposal, research proposal is about the effective way for teaching English grammar and how to approach it in the class at SMK 1 of Palangkaraya. Firstly, I will like to introduce the background of my research. There are two basic approaches to teach grammar. That is the deductive approach and the second is inductive approach. The first is the deductive approach. The deductive approach is the teacher explains the rule first and then gives the exercises to the learners to apply and consolidate the rule. And the inductive approach, learners study samples of language containing a particular grammatical rule and have to figure out the rule. So the difference is just for the deductive is firstly teacher teaching it the rule first and then student give the student doing some exercises to apply the rule that the teacher have explained before. And then the inductive, teacher not giving rules, the not teaching in the rule first, but student have to figure it out the rule by themselves. And then teacher will given more explain about the grammar rule. Both 2005 mentioned that grammar rules are presented to the learner first and then examples illustrating the rule later. This is according to the deductive approach. Therefore, the learners memorize the rule and understand them with the help of examples. And then they practice the rule with future examples. On the other hand, inductive approach is used based on this technique. Grammar rules are not presented to the learner first. According to the definition, Golin said, learners are exposed to have more responsibility for their own learning and grammar rules are not presented to them. He added that learner must therefore induce grammatical rules from selected materials of the target language within a context as are supplied. Language rules are induced from carefully graded exposure to and practice with example in situation and substitution tables. Next is the reason why I choosing this topic. Because in my opinion, learning English is really needed, something that can make students understand the learning in more effective and easier way. Therefore, we need educational method that can make teacher and student get the same feedback when doing learning and teaching activities. For example, teacher can get reciprocity in the form, improvement to creativity, the atmosphere of teaching and learning more fun and the others. While for student get reciprocity in the form, it is easier to understand learning, more easier to implement learning and others. And since the internal language is English, so we must learn it because it's very important for most people, especially students. So this is my research problem. First, what are the effective methods to use when learning English at SMK 1 of Palangkaraya? The second is, what are the problems experienced by the teacher in the learning process at SMK 1 of Palangkaraya? And the third, what are the problems experienced by the student in the learning process at SMK 1 of Palangkaraya? From the observation that I have do before, at SMK 1 of Palangkaraya, on one teacher at one class. The teacher is using deductive approach, deductive method. So maybe that is the effective way to learning grammar, and they can understand more effectively, more enjoyable, and more fun, because the teacher in there using great example and explain it slowly so the student can understood it more effective, more clearly. And what is the problem experienced by the teacher at the SMK Wana Palangkaraya? The problem is maybe because the student is a little bit loud, they talking a lot but not talking about the topic that they do that day from the observation day. Actually their topic is grammar, and student is like they pay attention first, but and then they talk to their friends talking about something that out from the topic at that day. And maybe the teacher can explain it more because the student is a little bit loud. And for the students, the problem is maybe they don't understood one. Not all the student in there in that class at that class not understand about the grammar that teacher teaching it a day, but maybe they don't understand the grammar because grammars feel like difficult, and teacher may be not giving more example from the grammar. The student feel bored from the teaching, from the teacher who teaching the grammar at that day. Next is research method. This research is using a qualitative method which is useful for understanding the overall problems faced by teacher and student for learning English. So for the data generated were in the form of words and sentences. The object of research: to determine the research subject in order to be able to retrieve sufficient information to find problems that exist in the learning and teaching English. All information will be taken directly from SMK 1 of Palangkaraya using inductive method. In the following way, after administrative requirements are fulfilled to conduct research, the researcher is immediately called to the principal office to be asked a number of things related to the teacher's objectives to go to school. After that, the researcher also interacts with the teacher as a key informant and do research in the next day. But in this observation, the research only looking the strategy of teacher for teaching grammar to the student. Data analysis method. From the observation that the research have done before, the research record that the teacher teaching grammar using the deductive approach. When she teaching grammar, she explains the rule first, and then she gives the student exercise to apply and consolidate the rule. And before she teaching grammar, she will ask the student again about the grammar that they have learned before and make them recall it. The teacher who teaching is very relaxed and fun. This makes students feel not bored in English learning, especially grammar, because in teaching grammar requires a way or method so that students understand it well. This teacher used a method in accordance with the things that have been explained before. And the conclusion from my research is From the observation we can get, teacher need to be more creative and make the student more comfortable and fun like the teacher from SMK1 of Palangkaraya do. From the observation, we know that the teacher firstly using deductive approach, but after that, she using inductive approach too at the same time. Which approach is the best for teaching English in class, especially grammar? From the definition about inductive and deductive approach before, we can say that maybe inductive approach is more the best way to teaching English grammar to the student, because it makes class more live or more fun than deductive one. I have the same opinions about it, but maybe we can choose both of the approach, because if we can do just like the teacher from SMK1 of Palangkaraya do, maybe we can make the class more enjoyable, more fun, and more attractive to each other. I think that's all the presentation I have show you today, and I hope you will understand what I have explained it before, and I'm sorry if I made a lot of mistake in this presentation. And from all of your kindness, thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.